As a film nerd, I'm frequently asked what my favorite franchise is. When I was growing up, the emphatic answer to this question would have been Star Wars, as I have many fond childhood memories of swinging around a toy lightsaber in my backyard at imaginary battle droids. About 4 or 5 years ago, my answer would have been the MCU, as I truly grew up with the franchise, going from a young, impressionable 8-year-old seeing Iron Man opening weekend to a junior in college shedding a singular manly tear at the end of Endgame. But as I grow older and have begun to analyze film with more scrutiny, I've started to value one thing over all else when it comes to franchises, and that is consistency. It is for this reason that the Rocky franchise has become my favorite franchise. On face value, all of these films may appear to be simplistic stories, classic rags to riches underdog tales, tales about overcoming fear, and cautionary tales about loss and regret. While this isn't necessarily an incorrect assertion, I would say that the fact that these stories are relatively simplistic makes the success of the franchise even more impressive, as it's churned out 9 films in a highly lucrative run spanning across 6 decades. In order to truly understand the beauty of the stories told in this franchise, I think we must examine exactly why these stories have remained so timeless. I can't beat him. Who am I kidding? Ain't even in the guy's league. I was thinking, it really don't matter if I lose this fight. It really don't matter if this guy opens my head either. All I want to do is go the distance. See, if that bell rings and I'm still standing, I'm gonna know for the first time in my life that I weren't just another bum from the neighborhood. The scene from Rocky 1 that I just paraphrased really breaks down the crux of most Rocky films. I just want to go the distance. The reason Rocky and more recently Adonis Creed has been able to capture the hearts of audience members is because they fail. They lose, they fall, they even get knocked out brutally at times. But one thing they always do is pick themselves back up and keep moving forward. No matter if it's a loss in the ring, the loss of a loved one, or the fear of losing what they've got, they continue to pick themselves up time and time again to answer the bell. I personally believe that so many can relate to this idea because, in truth, picking yourself up and rolling with the punches is the essence of life. No matter who you are, at some point in life you'll come face to face with some kind of obstacle or challenge that will help mold the person you become. And seeing someone push beyond their limits, beyond what society thought they were ever capable of, is inspiring as hell. Any breakdown of the Rocky franchise would not be complete without discussing the training montage. The training montage, and montages in general, are massive staples of this franchise, with the training sequences and the music that accompanies them being just so inspirational. To this day, every time I watch one of the training montages, I just get a burning desire to start running. But while it's easy to get bogged down and fixated by all the near superhuman physical feats being performed, the true beauty and essence of each training sequence is the emotional struggle and turmoil that our protagonists are dealing with before and during them. I believe that these emotional hardships are what truly make the training montages so inspiring, because most, or maybe even every audience member can relate to the struggle that underscores each montage. In Rocky 1, he's struggling with his overwhelming sense of imposter syndrome and the desire to make something of himself. And Rocky 2 is struggling with the fact that his wife has fallen ill and he's powerless to do anything to stop it, as well as his desire to provide wealth and stability for his family. In Rocky 3, it's the struggle of dealing with the death of Mickey and overcoming his fear of losing everything he's attained through his hard work. In Rocky 4, it's the struggle of dealing with the death of Apollo and overcoming his stubbornness to resist change. In Rocky Balboa, it's his desire to prove to himself and to his son that no matter what the odds are, you can succeed if you're willing to put in work and sacrifice for it. In Creed 1, Adonis is emotionally struggling with Rocky's cancer diagnosis, something he has no power to control, and his overwhelming sense of imposter syndrome. In Creed 2 is struggling with stepping out of his father's shadow and overcoming his fear of potentially losing it all. And in Creed 3 is struggling with the passing of his foster mother and the blame he puts on himself for how Dame's life turned out. All of these struggles and conflicts are things that most people could find some kind of comparison for in their own life. And that's why these quote-unquote boxing films are so palatable to so many. The boxing and training is truly an aesthetically pleasing visualization of these struggles and conflicts. It ironically serves as a very dramatized vehicle to tell these grounded and fundamental stories. While one may think that highly dramatized and at times over the top action would conflict with the gritty and realistic tones of the narratives of these films, the balance between these two things is actually what makes the franchise special, in my opinion. There's action, romance, bloody fight scenes, cheesy but quotable dialogue, more abs than all your local gyms combined, but at the core of it all, you have relatable and emotionally engaging tales, and this balance of action and emotion is what nearly every film in the franchise nails. You may have noticed I didn't mention Rocky V, and well, I think most fans of the franchise will understand why. While I think there's some redeemable qualities to the film, I do think most would agree it's easily the worst of the batch. And I think that's partly due to the fact that it's lacking when it comes to the emotional relatability. Seeing Rocky plummet back down to the quote-unquote street level and lose most of his wealth is something that could have worked and made for a relatable and emotionally engaging film, but the execution and explanation for this fall from grace was lackluster to say the least. However, I highlight this one misfire within the franchise for a few reasons. The first being the fact that if you're 8 for 9 when it comes to making quality films, those are some great margins that extremely few franchises could manage to rival. Also, having a bit of a failed film is almost fitting for the franchise that's all about rising up from your mistakes and moving forward. This also led to a 16-year break in the franchise, which honestly set the stage for Rocky Balboa to be a triumphant and improbable return for both Rocky as a boxer and the franchise as a whole. All in all, there's a reason Rocky has a statue. He's truly an iconic character who's experienced love, loss, redemption, victory, and really any emotion you can imagine over the years. And he's given us enough motivational speeches to last a lifetime. While I appreciate and love many other franchises, the consistency and emotional relatability of these stories is what makes Rocky my favorite. Thank you for watching this breakdown of the Rocky franchise. If you enjoyed it and are interested in further explorations of screen stories, please feel free to drop a like and subscribe.